Well, hey there. Once again, it is time for the golden age of DC Comics, 365 days. This is a wonderful 2004 hardcover coffee table book given to me by one of my best friends about 2 decades ago, and it's been surfing my coffee tables ever since. It's well read, it's well loved, and it's a great source of conversation about one of my favorite topics, comic books. Also, history. There's a lot to this little book, and we're going to do its intended purpose. We're going to read a page a day together. We're going to have old-fashioned comic book shop conversation right here. Us. So grab a cuppa, pull up to the coffee table. That's a good cup of coffee. And enjoy some coffee table talk about comic books the way you will like it. And the golden age of DC Comics lasts from 1938 to 1955. Comics were very popular as well in newspapers. In 1921, you had Little Orphan Annie, Gasoline Alley, Little Abner. In 1931, you had The Shadow and Dick Tracy. There were radio programs. There were, books and movie serials. But the age of comic book superheroes that we know today, that we enjoy in our movies and in our YouTube discussions, pretty much began with Superman in 1938. So the Golden Age from 1938 to 1955. The Silver Age, 1956 to 1970. The Bronze Age, where I grew up, 1970 to 1985. And we're in some nebulous catch-all modern age of comics from 1985 until the current age. I want more discussion on that. I want some input. I want to be heard. I want more definition. That's almost a 40-year era of comic books. I mean, the golden age was long because it began the whole thing, but every age after that's been about 15 years or so. So, we could, there could be an age between 85 and 2000, and there's definitely an age between 2000 and 2015. And we have exited a previous age. We are in the new age of comic books right now. I'd like to know what's the terminology for the age we just passed. Is there further discussion here? What do you think? We'll leave a comment and we'll talk about it on air. But let's get to today. It's the end of the month. All your bills are due. Mind your P's and Q's. That means mind your pints and quarts. You have to pay your bar bill. Ha 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 ha. It's March the 31st, and I, once again, trigger warnings for anyone that needs them. We talk about problematic stuff here, talking about the past. We're going to talk about it together, and we're going to go through it together. We're not going to avoid much. I'm going to use my best judgment. It's my station. If you want to talk about it, and if you don't want to cover up someone's face with your thumb, then buy a copy of this book. The link's in the description, and I'll watch your show too. You watch mine, I'll watch yours. Huh? But it's this is art by Bruno Premiani from Detective Comics, number 176 from October of 1951. 1951 seems to be the year that superhero comics were being eclipsed by westerns and shoot 'em ups, Old West, cowboys and Indians, fare such as that. And so this is a modern age, of then modern age. So this is, let's take a look. All right, let's get to it. Here we have a man with a bow and arrow on a wing of a plane taking aim at individuals in a speeding car who are returning gunfire to his bow and arrow. Okay. Now, these are the things that we get into problematics, I guess. Stereotypes. And once again, we need to talk about stereotypes every time they come up in this book. Why? Because you could be tuning in for the first time. And just this is not about outrage. This is not about blaming the past either. This is about, maybe respecting the stereotype in a way, because a stereotype was a way to transfer a lot of information quickly in a single image using cultural cues. Now, are some of these racist by today's standards? Yes. Are they problematic by today's standards? Yes. Even probably back then, extreme caricature. Would it be inappropriate? I guess the whole humor would be from from outrageous caricature, and but the one thing about outrageous caricature, it gave you a lot of information very quickly. It's something you can unpack very, very quickly and be like, oh, well, this character is Asian, or this character is Native American by dress, by skin tone, and unfortunately too by malapropisms and pidgin Englishes written phonetically in voice caption bubbles. And but exaggeration is a big part of comic books. It's there are levels of drawing, and one of them, there are abstract levels, and then there are photorealistic levels. And so yeah, let's get to the blurb, all right? And so once again, I apologize, I guess, but I take no responsibility for the past, except for my own, as should you. All right, so this is called Powwow Smith, Indian Lawman, was set in the modern West and featured one of the rare Native American heroes in comic books. Although some might find the series condescending when considered by today's standards, it represented a well-intended attempt to educate a predominantly white audience about a segment of society that was generally ignored by the media. In short, the hero might have been shooting arrows into a bad guy's tire, but he was also helping a tribe to cultivate their land. Yeah, so we can see when Powwow Smith, powwow is a Native American term for a meeting where great decisions are made, usually by leaders of the tribe, chiefs and shaman, and you can tell from the pants there are in the sleeves of his jacket that this is I'm going to attempt to tell you what I see. That he's wearing rawhides, boots, pants, and a jacket, and on the sleeves and on the pants, the pant legs, are tassels, and these tassels are greatly like leather tassels on rawhide tassels on sleeves and pant legs like that are greatly associated with North American, Native American culture. The fashion of like the beads. I'm from New England. I'm from Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a Native American word. The Massasoit was the first chief. He was the chief of the Wampanoag Indians, the Wampanoag tribe, and they're the ones that welcomed the first pilgrims. And that first generation got along, and it was the next generation where everything went to hell. Massasoit's sons, who were his heirs, that's where his son was Metacomet, King Philip, and that's King Philip's War, RTFM. But when you see intricate beadwork, in my culture here, this is my culture. I am a native Bostonian, a native Massachusettsian. These are stories of my land now, and of my people too. I mean, I am included. I am included. I'm second generation Irish American. Yeah, and so this is part and parcel of the American experience of a blending of cultures. We used to call it the melting pot, and I'm a result of that personally. I know that. The little beadwork, though, around here they were called wampum, and wampum were very. It was a Native American form of currency, of cash, and you would have these finely polished stones, and they were put on strings, and so lengths of wampum were meant to represent great wealth, and they could be traded for goods and services. Like, this was ancient currency, and it wasn't European currency, yet it was the same idea. So you had this idea of commerce, and it's a human value, and but yeah, so this is Pablo Smith, Indian lawman. It doesn't say much about. You know what? This is why we have wikis. Let's look up Pablo Smith real quick and see if there's anything on the wiki. All right, Pablo Smith. Let's see. Oh, Ohiese. Ohiesa. Pablo Smith is a fictional Western hero published by DC Comics. Originally, Pablo Smith was located in the modern West. Later stories were set in the 19th century. It was eventually retconned that the Old West character was an ancestor of the modern day character. Retcon's a huge term in comic books these days. It means retroactive continuity. It means telling a new story set in the past, which offers new elements and a new spin and helps continue the story. So retcons used to be a real neutral kind of thing. It's just a way to tell and to perpetuate the never-ending story. And it gets harder and harder when there's the whole conflict of what came before and what's coming now. We have a big emphasis on canon, continuity, and consistency, and character as well. And Smith first appeared in Detective Comics 151 after 4 years as his strip became the lead feature of Western Comics, which ran until 1961. And so that's a pretty good publication run. He was in Funny Books for 20 years. That's great. But what do you think? You got a comment? You got a question? You can leave it in the comment section below. We'll get to it on air eventually. And you know what? We're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who and what we're talking about when we turn the page. No joking, because we know what tomorrow is, huh? Waka waka. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Hopefully I can earn your subscription. I'm a spiritual guy. I'm an amateur theologian and ordained minister. We talk about spirituality here. I'm a professional chef. I make cooking videos. I want to give you nutritious, delicious, and beautiful cooking hacks for you to share with your loved ones at home. Check out my playlist, What's Cooking? And we talk about comic books every day. So God bless, namaste, good luck, and see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now. Cheers.